How to defeat any boss in Elden Ring Nightreign. To start off, you need these minimum requirements to be able to defeat certain bosses. You will want a purple weapon after day 1 to at least be level 10 for the final boss, at least be level 8 on the final day 2 boss, and there will be some bosses you should only be fighting on day 2. These bosses will usually be found on the field while running to the next map location, or they can also be bosses found in the center castle. Now, to defeat any boss, you need to have a good understanding and awareness of these 3 factors. The first being attack ranges, the second being attack windups, and then finally the attack movesets of the boss. This will allow you to successfully avoid its attacks and take the least amount of damage and find your attack windows. It will also allow you to hold your own against the boss for an average of at least 3 minutes, which is usually how long it takes to deal enough damage and take out the toughest bosses. So in order to do this, when first fighting a new boss or unfamiliar boss, you want to have your guard up and sprint or walk towards the boss until it attacks you at any range. Doing this on your first attempt will help you get used to the boss's attack timings and give you a good understanding and awareness of the 3 factors mentioned. Guarding will cause the attack to reduce your stamina bar instead of your health bar taking the hit. If no shield, then you need to double hand your weapon to be able to have your guard up. Two-handing a shield is best for doing this, as it significantly makes you less likely to be knocked back and also reduces the stamina dropped on guarded attacks. Your shield's guard boost value also reduces the stamina dropped, and do not forget you're also able to attack while two-handing a shield, but at a reduced attack damage and slightly slower attack speed. So quickly going over one example of each of these 3 factors. For attack range, a good example is when the Gladius boss charges into you and bites. Right after this, you have a window to attack. For movesets, the Gladius boss pulls away and then winds up the chained sword. This is a delayed double dodge. Then finally, for windups, you have this attack where it drops the sword from a height. Here, patience and timing is most important. There will be multiple variations of all these 3 factors. One variation being the windup and timing are all different for different bosses. It's also important to note that you cannot guard certain attacks like elemental attacks, which need to be dodge rolled instead. Also, most guarded attacks will knock you back where the boss can follow up its attack. All bosses will have attacks where you need to be extra cautious and must move out of the area or multiple dodge roll. It can also be an attack you must avoid. One example here is charged purple attacks for all bosses. So after a minute of guarding the boss's attacks, the boss will likely have used all its movesets for that phase. At this point, you want to start dealing damage to the boss while now dodging its attacks that you have been guarding. So while you were guarding, you should be looking at the timings of the attack and when you should have dodge rolled. Another important factor to successfully dodge roll against larger bosses is to unlock from the target so you can see the weapon wind up. As you can see here, since we're locked onto the target, we cannot see the weapon, making it much harder to time the dodge roll. Some attacks need to be ran behind or jumped over. On top of this, you should look to notice when you could have thrown extra attacks when the boss isn't attacking. One important factor here to be able to attack bosses effectively is dodging into them, as this allows you instantly to be in range for your attack. Your other options are to sprint attack or surge sprint attack or sprint jump attack. Another good tip for parties is to at least have one ranged character for consistent damage. If you are playing solo, this does not matter. Every boss will give you a window where you're able to get an attack off. Some windows will only allow for 1 attack, while other windows can be 2 or more. Usually this style is known as hit and dodge, where after you've dodged an attack, you hit back once or twice, and then you're looking to dodge its next attack. You then continue to repeat these steps. Obviously, in some scenarios you may dodge roll backwards, and as a new player it's completely fine to dodge roll backwards, but mainly you want to be dodging into the boss or to the side of it. Some bosses are weak to certain element damage, which you can find on the expedition lobby page. So using weapons or attacks with this specific element damage will generally deal more damage while also helping you to stagger the boss faster. Staggering the boss, which is also known as poise, is basically an invisible bar for the boss. Dropping this bar to 0 causes the boss to fall to the ground, where you can perform riposte criticals. Other things that will help you speed up the stagger is using heavy attacks, jump attacks, or two-handing a weapon. The next stage is awareness of the boss's next phase, once it either reaches a certain amount of health points, or after you've done a certain amount of damage, or after a certain amount of time has passed. Now when the boss is onto its next phase, a new set of attack ranges and attack movesets will show up. So for the Gladius boss, this will be the 3 beast phase, where again you should hold your guard up to get an understanding and awareness of the boss's attacks and patterns. Again, doing this will provide you with the attack windows and ranges, and which attacks cannot be guarded. Another important concept that will help you defeat bosses and stay alive is when to use your healing flasks. Using your flask is the same process as the attack and dodging style, where instead of attacking after a dodged moveset, you heal instead. You can also guard up instead of dodging and then heal in your attack window. Other options are to move out of the boss's range while having your guard up and then heal, or guard up and wait till the boss is focused on another player. Guarding up is the safer option, but you can still dodge attacks you're capable of dodging. Onto when to use your ultimate. You can either save your ultimate for revives, or if it has invincibility frames, you can save it for a boss's big AoE or hard to time dodge. One of these invincibility frame skills being Wilder's ultimate. If confident enough, you can use your ultimate to deal damage to the boss and speed up the stance breaking, one of which being Wilder's ultimate again. Using ultimates early will also most likely let you use it once more throughout the fight. Other important tips is taking bows into bosses that run a lot can be beneficial. Being sure you use your consumables, as there's no point having them if you fail the night. Also, on your first attempt, your main aim should be to stay alive as long as you can while trying to deal damage. Bosses can also have weak spots that will take more damage if focused. Areas like the head or open areas or wounded areas will take slightly more damage. One example is dragons will usually take slightly more damage if you attack the head.